Health Vision, WOUB's program on medicine and health. I'm your host, Jackie Wolf, Associate Professor of Social Medicine at Ohio University. Today we're talking to psychologist Garrett Rodriguez about the behavior and thoughts of expectant fathers. Dr. Rodriguez is author of the book, What's Your Pregnant Man Thinking? It's really a pleasure to have you here today, Bob.
It's really a pleasure to be with you, Jackie, and on the show Health Vision.
Tell me this is a very unusual topic, what pregnant men are thinking, what they're going through. Explain to me what interested you in this topic.
Well, Jackie, three reasons really. One is over 20 years working with expectant couples and working with them, advising them, doing different things, parts of research and so forth with them. So I've always had that interest, a certain passion for what happens during pregnancy. The second is I've been alarmed over the last, say, 10 years with the increasing incidence of couples failing, relationships failing during pregnancy or shortly after pregnancy. And then, of course, there's been very little documentation until recently on the physical changes that occur in men during pregnancy. So much attention, as you know, Jackie, goes to the physical changes in women because they're so obvious. So,
what is it about pregnancy and the experience of pregnancy that causes relationships to fail?
Well, there's a number of reasons that couples don't make it. One of the principal things is that couples don't anticipate and are often sort of surprised by the fact that the relationship during pregnancy is not the same as the relationship before pregnancy. And let me just explain just for a couple of seconds on that. Before a couple becomes pregnant, there's kind of a harmonious, they negotiate, they learn each other's expectations, they learn some things about each other and so forth, and they really develop this kind of strong, harmonious couple relationship.
And a rhythm, too.
And
they develop a rhythm,
too. And in fact, that harmony you can actually see if you've ever looked at couples that have been married 50 years or 60 years, and you go, you know, they resemble each other, or, you know, he's answering the question, she didn't ask it yet, and so forth. There's actually that harmony that develops in couples, in good, strong couples. With pregnancy, it's a very sudden change. It's a change biologically, it's a change psychosocially, it's a change culturally, and couples don't always anticipate and adjust their expectations with that. So the relationship, by the necessity of pregnancy, has to become somewhat different.
In fact, if anything, they anticipate joy, excitement. I mean, that's the stereotype. This is going to be one of the most wonderful periods of our life. And
Exactly.
and so that's what they're anticipating, but that isn't necessarily reality then.
It's very romanticized in our culture, isn't it, Jackie? Pregnancy. And not that it shouldn't be a romantic period, but it isn't quite the way it's presented to us through the media sometimes.
Well, let's talk about these. When you mention biological changes in men, this is fascinating to me because you're absolutely right. We all know and anticipate the biological changes in women.
We do.
I don't think it occurs to many of us, if any of us, that men have biological changes. Explain this.
I'd love to. First of all, let me start by saying that for men, pregnancy is not 9 months. Pregnancy typically is 6 months, because for the first 3 months, the mom doesn't really show, and maybe there's some positive things that are beginning to develop in terms of perceptions, dad's perceptions. But the sense of having a baby is still rather abstract. Around the 3rd month, it becomes much more real, and the mom begins to show and so forth. Around the 3rd month for men, and this goes across all mammals, so this is something that men and mice share, at about 3 months, their testosterone level begins to go down. It begins to decline, and it declines progressively through the time of birth, rebounding somewhere for humans about 3 to 6 months postpartum. Now, the natural question is, well, why would that happen?
Exactly.
Why would testosterone drop? Well, it's nature's way of preparing dad to become nurturant. So if we think about, for example, a lion in nature, same thing happens. His lioness is pregnant.
Now, we should say the testosterone is connected with aggression in mammals.
Exactly.
So when you talk about the levels going down in nurturant, that's the reason why.
Exactly. And so nature actually has prepared men to become nurturant at the time of birth. And so there is this decline in testosterone. Now, how do we see that? Well, one of the ways that I'm sure your viewers and those that have been pregnant might see that is that morning sickness that dad gets, that weight gain that dad has, some of those physical things that are going on. That's not just purely mind over matter, it's matter over mind.
Now, is this really common that men actually experience some of the same physical changes, the weight gain, the nausea that women do? Is that very common?
It's very common. In fact, in other cultures, it's celebrated. It's
and there's a word for it.
It's called couvade. And couvade comes from the French word couver, which means to brood. And so it is universal that men go through these changes. But the changes are physical, biologic changes. And most men, these changes work very well. They become very nurturant. They progress nicely. They have their babies. They love their babies. They're hands-on dads. Some men, it doesn't work out quite that way. They don't adjust as well.
In fact, we also know that rates of domestic violence can go up when women are pregnant.
Yes.
So explain that, because that seems kind of contradictory to what you've been saying. If testosterone levels are going down, why in some cases is there more violence, or for the first time in a relationship you see violence when a woman is pregnant? Why does that happen?
Because that aggression, the expression of that, or acting out on that violence, gives a temporary upload of testosterone to the male. So where it's naturally declining, if the male is not comfortable with that, they will take on certain maybe risk-taking behaviors, certain aggressive behaviors as a means to elevate or balance, bring back that balance of testosterone. That although they don't recognize that's what's happening, but that biologically, in the endocrine system is what's occurring.